And now back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic and your host, Bobby Likis. You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. And now back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic and your host, Bobby Likis. You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. And now back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic and your host, Bobby Likis.
Good morning, Car Clinic affiliates. Your Car Clinic minutes for the week of July 31st, 2017 are about to head your way. So go ahead and press that record button. As always, thank you for broadcasting and listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Have a great weekend.
Hi, I'm Bobby Likis with today's Car Clinic Minute. While some states are singing in the rain, others are drowning in drought. Want to keep your car looking spiffy without breaking county water restrictions? When I come back, I'll tell you how.
O'Reilly. When your battery goes dead, everything can come to a stop. Don't take a chance on getting stranded. Stop by O'Reilly Auto Parts and get your battery tested free of charge. If your battery does need to be replaced, O'Reilly Auto Parts can help you find the exact Superstart battery that fits your car or truck at a guaranteed low price. O'Reilly Auto Parts, better prices every day. O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Counties often respond to drought by placing restrictions on personal water uses like at-home car washing and lawn watering. While this helps the water crisis, it can leave lawns and cars in the dust, literally. Now, I can't help you with a green, but I do know how to keep your car clean and support local business. Visit a nearby professional car wash. These days, full-service companies often recycle the water they use and consume 2 to 5 times less than you would with a hand home wash. Then, when the drought's over, celebrate with an in-the-driveway detailing and a long, cool drink from your garden hose. I'm Bobby Likis. Like us, you'll love us. Hi, I'm Bobby Likis with today's Car Clinic Minute. A friend asked Henry Ford, "Soy, what you been up to?" To most people, this has been a greeting, but to Mr. Ford, it was an idea. I'll tell you how he used his noodle when I come back.
O'Reilly. When your battery goes dead, everything can come to a stop. Don't take a chance on getting stranded. Stop by O'Reilly Auto Parts and get your battery tested free of charge. If your battery does need to be replaced, O'Reilly Auto Parts can help you find the exact Superstart battery that fits your car or truck at a guaranteed low price. O'Reilly Auto Parts, better prices every day. O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Henry Ford's known for great ideas, but he really used his bean on this one. Soybean, that is. During the Depression, Ford's chemists focused on converting agricultural products into industrial products to stimulate the farm-based economy. Enter the soybean who, in My Fair Lady style, was transformed from dirt-poor roots into the plastic of star car parts, like horn buttons, gearshift knobs, and body enamel. Soy, wouldn't you know? Ford didn't stop there. He also developed a soy wool-like fabric that cost half of sheep's wool. I'm Bobby Likis. Like us, you'll love us. Hi, I'm Bobby Likis with today's Car Clinic Minute. Doing things the old-fashioned way may be great for churning ice cream, but not for churning up the racetrack. When we come back, we'll crank up the power.
O'Reilly. When your battery goes dead, everything can come to a stop. Don't take a chance on getting stranded. Stop by O'Reilly Auto Parts and get your battery tested free of charge. If your battery does need to be replaced, O'Reilly Auto Parts can help you find the exact Superstart battery that fits your car or truck at a guaranteed low price. O'Reilly Auto Parts, better prices every day. O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Churning ice cream may be a treat, but steering the old-fashioned way on the racetrack is no fun in the sun. Before Jeffrey Bodine engineered power steering on race cars in 1987, all that horsepower had to be guided by sheer muscle power. And cars on the oval track weren't the only thing that suffered wear and tear. Just ask the drivers. In the Daytona 500, drivers raced 4 hours in 120 degrees, losing up to 10 pounds of body weight. Power steering reduces driver fatigue and conserves the energy necessary to charge the finish line and enjoy a good old-fashioned victory lap. I'm Bobby Likis. Like us, you'll love us. Hi, I'm Bobby Likis with another Car Clinic Minute. Who travels 500 miles but never farther than 100 yards? Another clue? Most visit hundreds of banks, but when counting cash, some get little, several get more, and a few get very rich. The answer? When I come back.
O'Reilly.
When your battery goes dead, everything can come to a stop. Don't take a chance on getting stranded. Stop by O'Reilly Auto Parts and get your battery tested free of charge. If your battery does need to be replaced, O'Reilly Auto Parts can help you find the exact Superstart battery that fits your car or truck at a guaranteed low price. O'Reilly Auto Parts, better prices every day.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
In 500 miles on the oval track, drivers completing a race go round hundreds of banks. So ever wonder how a racer's bucks stack up? Well, drivers of different experience levels are paid different ways. First-year rookies receive salaries and small percentages of the race purse. Veteran drivers not only bank larger salaries, they also pocket up to half of the race winnings. In most forms of racing, drivers who've been champion make at least $2 million a year, and multiple championships ka-ching up to $5 million. Bottom line in racing, practice makes perfect, and some drivers very wealthy. I'm Bobby Likis. Like us, you'll love us. Hi, I'm Bobby Likis with today's Car Clinic Minute. Show a white flag and surrender to foe. Wave a racing green and everything's go. Throw refs yellow and it's no, no, no. But I'll give you the what's up of a red flag when we come back.
O'Reilly.
When your battery goes dead, everything can come to a stop. Don't take a chance on getting stranded. Stop by O'Reilly Auto Parts and get your battery tested free of charge. If your battery does need to be replaced, O'Reilly Auto Parts can help you find the exact Superstart battery that fits your car or truck at a guaranteed low price. O'Reilly Auto Parts, better prices every day.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Not since waving one in front of bulls has a red flag signal such a stampede. If you call 2 miles per hour a stampede, that's the speed limit enacted by the Red Flag Act of 1865 for early automobiles, which were steam-driven and aptly called road locomotives. The law also required all road locomotives to have 3 attendants, one to steer, one to stoke, and one to walk ahead, waving a red flag to warn townfolk of the oncoming traffic. I'm Bobby Likis. Like us, you'll love us.
Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Countdown to 3-minute mark. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, mark. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Countdown to 1-minute mark. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, mark. Countdown to 30-second mark. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, mark. Countdown to 10-second mark. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, mark. Welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. If you have a car question for Bobby, call now at 1-800-264-5454, toll free from anywhere in America. And now, here's your host, Bobby Likis.
And a special good morning to today's edition. I have some great news for you. It's July 29, 2017. We have 4.5 inches of snow on Pensacola Beach, right here in sunny Florida. 4.5 inches of... Oh, wait. Oh, that's not true. That's... Oh, gosh. That reminds me of a story I heard just yesterday. So, folks, what is the moral of that story? The moral of that story is that car owners hear stories and believe it without checking the facts. Now we're getting to the root. Now we're getting to what really happens when you take your car into a service shop and they say, well, okay, you have sludge in the engine. Oh, but I've changed the oil. I take care of this car. Well, could I see your paperwork? Well, really. So, folks, here's the moral of the story. You got to do what you got to do, and when somebody tells you something, ask where they get their information. And when you make a statement about how you take care of your car, changing the oil and filter every X thousands of miles, you think whatever they put in it is maintenance. That's not the fact at all. There's a host of items that you should know, and I'll share those with you throughout the program, and I'll take your calls as well when I come back from this commercial break. And we're going to have a great show. 888 Car Clinic, 888-227-2546. Snow on Pensacola Beach. This vehicle maintenance spotlight is brought to you by O'Reilly Auto Parts. When it comes to safety, there's nothing more important than your vehicle's brakes. If yours are spongy or squealing, or your vehicle won't stop without pumping the brakes, it's probably time for replacement. Trust the professional parts people at O'Reilly Auto Parts to help you choose the brakes that are an exact fit for your vehicle. Brands you can trust, like Brake Best Select, and Wagner Thermoquiet, all at guaranteed low prices. O'Reilly Auto Parts, better prices every day.
O'Reilly.
If your vehicle isn't stopping like it used to, visit O'Reilly Auto Parts for the Summer Brake Deals event. Take advantage of the O'Reilly Auto Parts Do It Right rebate and get a $25 O'Reilly gift card by mail when you buy a set of Brake Best Select pads and a pair of rotors. O'Reilly Auto Parts, better prices every day. Limits apply. See store for details.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
We recently had an '08 Ford Expedition come into the shop, and the owner was complaining about an awful burning smell after driving the car any distance. After giving the vehicle a once-over, we found leaking valve cover gaskets which were allowing oil to run down onto the exhaust manifold. The entire engine bay was also covered with a fine film of oil from a bad power steering hose. We needed to clean everything first so we could accurately diagnose and fix the problem quickly. We used Berryman B33 engine degreaser and sprayed it onto a cool engine. We let it sit for a short time, then rinsed it off, leaving everything clean and oil-free. Once we replaced the hose and the valve cover gaskets, the Ford was ready to get back on the road. Berryman B33 engine degreaser was perfect for this job. The fast spray-on, rinse-off cycle saves time and conserves water. The product's also safe to use. Its biodegradable formula contains no harmful phosphates, solvents, abrasives, or VOCs. Learn more about Berryman B33 degreaser and other great Berryman products at berrymanproducts.com. That's berrymanproducts.com.
You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
Rosie Outfitters, I'm Tina. How can I help you?
I'd like to place an order.
Great. Which item?
The cotton roll neck sweater, large.
Okay. Periwinkle, Loden, or caramel?
The caramel, please.
The what?
I'd like it in caramel.
Oh, the caramel?
Yeah, that's what I said, Tina.
Actually, you said caramel when it's pronounced caramel.
Can't we just call it yellow?
No.
Everyone knows the best part of a Milky Way. They just don't know how to say it. After all, it's our caramel.
It's caramel.
Ugh, that makes a Milky Way great.
You start my morning, you stir in my soul, you warm my heart, make me feel whole. Your aroma calls me, it starts my morning. Happy morning, your name is Folgers Mountain Grow. Now you're here, your aroma helps me wake, and the day is mine to take. The best part of waking up is Folgers in your cup.
And now back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic and your host, Bobby Likis.
Okay, let's get started today with a little slow coming up there, huh? Yeah. Well, see, Fabio controls my volume, so if you can't hear me, it's not my fault. Good morning, Fabio, Miss Jan, and Jonathan, and folks out there across the nation. I hope you had a great week. We had I'll tell you, we had such a fantastic week here at our service shop that I feel so relaxed today that I'm kind of laid back here this morning, because when you're going 150 miles per hour 5 days in a row, and then Saturday comes, Saturday you're supposed to slow down. So if I'm a little slow today, it's because that's a good thing. So what all that means is you'll have more of an opportunity to talk than I. Welcome to today's broadcast. This segment of Bobby Likis Car Clinic is brought to you by O'Reilly Auto Parts. Fantastic organization. I know because about a football field's distance from my shop here in Pensacola, Florida on Davis Highway is the O'Reilly Auto Parts store. And they're really Johnny on the spot. I'll tell you, they do a fantastic job. And I say that with conviction because they make me look good when I repair my customers' cars. And to that end, we just received the Better Business Bureau Torch Award for Ethics in Business for 2 counties for 2017 for in 2017. So anyway, hats off to my folks, and hats off to the O'Reilly's team down the street. Let's go to Chris and take a call. Then we'll take your calls at 888. And do yourself a favor, call in earlier than later so that we don't get rushed toward the end of the program. Any question that you have, the only dumb car question is the one that's not asked. And also, you ladies out there, quite candidly, I'd love to hear from you and what your challenges are and what you'd like to know about your automobile. Just consider me your car doctor, I guess, although it's a car clinic, it's not a car doctor show. As Fred Vygotsky came to me years ago and said, well, I want you to do a car doctor show. I said, well, I have a lot of doctors for clients, so I don't think I want to do that. So that's where the name Car Clinic came from. We started right here in Pensacola, Florida on Blab Television, and also on WCOA 1370 News Talk Radio, just a heritage station. 80-something years that station has been broadcasting the local news and is still going very strong as we speak. 888-227-2546. Chris, you called in early. You're the first in, so you're the first up. Welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
Thank you, Bobby. I have a 09 Mercury Grand Marquis. Okay. And it's got the auto door locks.
Sure.
And the one on the driver's side, the little, I guess it looks like a pop rivet came off, and the actuator has come unhooked. I can hear it inside the door, like when you unlock and lock the door.
Right.
It seems to be still working. It's just not on the hook or whatever. I looked at a exploded view. Can you just get like a stainless steel screw and nut and mount that back up to the side of the door panel?
Well, sure. You can. That's not a problem. We have. We have all sorts of pop rivets, and a pop rivet gun that looks like, Chris, I swear, it's about the size of a hedge clipper, almost. I mean, it is huge. And of course, the factory uses the pop rivets because you can take an automatic pop rivet gun, hold the part in place, and pap, 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 and like a roofer. you know how those roofers use those nail drivers,
Right.
and they just hit the. It's amazing for me to watch that in action. But now, when we have to change like a window regulator, we have to drill those old ones out. That's no fun.
Right.
But yeah, we have that, and if you so any service shop would have that. But you can put a nut and screw to secure that unit without any problem whatsoever. And the reason they don't use the nuts and screws is because that means you have to hold the nut, you know, and put the screw in and tighten it, and then it has to be so tight that it won't come loose, but not too tight. So the pop rivet is a terrific invention, and truly that is the better way to attach the regulator and the door actuator and those sorts of things. Have you had the door panel? Obviously, you've had the door panel off.
No. I just, looked around trying to figure it out, and I asked the fellow, and he says, that's a pop rivet.
Well,
and I was like,
but they're not prone to come loose because, as you know, that's a mushroomed. It's a mushroom piece of steel or aluminum, so they're not prone to come loose. You may find that the linkage that is attached to the unit itself is where the problem is. So the first thing to do is just take the door panel off and
take a look at it.
Yeah, take a look. Yeah, take it off, and then if there's any problem with that. You can go to an O'Reilly Auto Parts store and see the counterman, and I bet you could buy a little box of rivets that would cost near nothing. I mean, I guess maybe they come maybe 10 to a pack or 5 to a pack, but or go to a local service shop and with it apart and say, see this right here? Would you pop that back in place for me? Hey, I would do that. I mean, it's not a big deal if you take it apart. And that's the real issue. But yeah, how's the car? How many miles you got in the Grand Marquis?
Oh, it's 45,000. I haven't had it very long. In fact, I talked to you a few months ago when I first got it and got some. I got some air shocks. I talked to you about that.
Yeah.
And I went to O'Reilly's and
right.
they fixed it up. And I put them on, and now when I pull the trailer, I just have to take an air pump and pump them up a little bit, and it levels it right out.
Oh, yeah, I remember that. I sure do. Yeah.
So
well, that's
O'Reilly
great.
fixed me up, and you gave me good advice, though.
Well, hey,
Back again.
sometimes you eat the bear, and sometimes the bear gets you. But in this case, hats off to you, and I sure appreciate your call, and I hope you have a great weekend.
Thank you, Bobby.
Thank you,
Have
Chris.
a blessed day.
You as well. Appreciate that. 888 Car Clinic. 888-227-2546. One of the things that I have a document here that talks about automatic, manual, and CVT transmission. The different types of transmissions explained. And folks, there are many flavors, if you will, of car transmissions in the world, but all of them perform the same basic function. And you say, well, now, wait a minute, what is this, Automotive 101? Well, yes and no, but a transmission channels the power generated by the engine to the drive wheels. So that's why cars have transmissions. The engine runs, but the engine doesn't turn the rear wheels directly. The engine turns gears, and those gears turn the rear wheel, or the front wheels. Listen to me, rear wheels. I forget sometimes. I don't forget that they're front-wheel drive or all-wheel drive. It's just that my car the car that I drive daily is a rear-wheel drive automobile. It's a really nice car, and I'm experimenting as we speak with some high-performance fuel in my totally stock. Well, I have K&N air filters, but other than that, and synthetic oil, it's a totally stock car, and I put 101 octane, 101 octane RON, or it's 96 AKI, anti-knock index, and it's about E30, so it's about 30% ethanol, 30%. You heard me right. Actually, it's 28.2 according to Steve Vandegren at ICM, who is the fuel guru in the United States. And to prove it, I should have him on the radio one day, but the problem is that 30 seconds after he would start to explain about fuels and aromatics and toluene and benzene and all those sorts of things, he would lose me. And I know he would lose you unless you were a chemist or you were in the petroleum industry, because he knows so much. And believe it or not, folks, sometimes that's a challenge that I have. Not that I know so much, but I've been in the automotive repair and service industry so long that what is easy for me to understand is not always easy for me to convey to you so that you understand it. And after all, when you go to, and let me ask you this, when you go to a service shop and they call you, you leave your car and they call you and say, okay, Mr. Jones, your car needs X, Y, and Z, and it's going to cost you $857 and some odd cents. And you say, well, go ahead. You don't really know what the car needs or what they're doing. And so, you even if you go down to the shop and see what they're doing and then get the old part and look how it's broken, you really don't really know what caused it or what have you. So the moral of today's little storytelling is for you to ask questions and become more involved in the servicing and the performing and the repair of your automobile, because the more you know, the easier it is for you to maintain a better car. And easy is good. I'll tell you when I come back why. Good morning, Car Clinic listeners nationwide. It's that time of year again. I've been talking with you about your automobiles for over 26 years now, and I've been servicing vehicles here in my own automotive service shop for 46 years. We've won Best Automotive Service Shop, Best Oil Change, and Best Reputation in Automotive Service, and I'd be honored if you vote for my service shop again this year for Best of the Coast. Go to inweekly.net, look for Best of the Coast voting, click Services, scroll all the way to the bottom, then key in Bobby Likis for Best Automotive Service Shop and Best Oil Change. 4 simple steps. inweekly.net, Services, scroll to the bottom, key in Bobby Likis for Best Automotive Service Shop and Best Oil Change. One more time, inweekly.net, Services, scroll to the bottom, key in Bobby Likis for Best Automotive Service Shop and Best Oil Change. I really appreciate your vote. Folks, we're testing an Intune i2 performance programmer from Diablo Sport and will share feedback and results over the next few months. First is ease of installation. Directions were clear and the setup was easy. The Intune i2 is preloaded with dyno and street-tested performance programs developed specifically for your car or truck, ensuring optimal power and drivability gains. From there, you can then customize a tune tailored to your own performance needs. What a great way to boost power without even popping the hood. Diablo Sport Intune i2 has a fantastic look and now features the latest generation ARM processor for a higher resolution screen and an exceptionally responsive touchpad. You can update your i2 software on virtually any computer, Windows, Mac, Linux, and update times are fast. Even the large updates take no more than 5 minutes. I'll report more to you about the Intune i2 in the coming weeks. In the meantime, check out the i2 for yourself at DiabloSport.com. That's DiabloSport.com.
You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
The airlines like to have sales. Summer getaway sales, holiday sales, winter sales. Truth is, at any moment, some airline somewhere is on sale with low fares to great destinations. Travelocity knows exactly what's going on, who's on sale, to where, and when, at over 700 airlines worldwide. We even have this nifty feature that lets you look at a calendar so that you can see exactly the days the great fares are available. Travelocity.com. Go virtually anywhere. AOL keyword, travel.
Hun, guess my temperature.
It's 2 a.m. Go to sleep.
Come on, one guess.
Higher, 98.
Higher.
Higher, 99.
You're getting warmer. Wait, I'm getting warmer.
Cold symptoms keeping you from getting a good night's sleep? Get NyQuil, the nighttime sniffling, sneezing, coughing, aching, stuffy head, fever so you can sleep better to feel better medicine. Use as directed.
One more guess.
100?
Yes. Tell her what she's won, Bob.
And now back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic and your host, Bobby Likis.
And welcome back to this segment of Bobby Likis Car Clinic, brought to you by O'Reilly Auto Parts. There's still time for summer road trips, but before you travel or you start out on that journey, visit O'Reilly Auto Parts. Simply preventive maintenance before you travel will ensure a safe journey during the remaining hot summer months. O'Reilly Auto Parts, better prices every day. We're going to take a call from New York, and then we're going to go to Detroit and get our weekly report from our car clinic reporter, Jim. And we're also going to take your calls, Miss Jan will, at 888-227. That's 888-227-2546. Sarah, welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Glad to have you join us.
Hello?
Hello. Good morning.
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
I think I have a bad connection here with this phone.
Oh, well, I'm glad you're not driving it. That's a little humor, Sarah, but darn little, as my best friend Ronnie Swain would say. What can I do for you this morning?
I'm having a problem with a 94 Jeep Wrangler.
Well, you're not by yourself. I had to say that. We had one in the house yesterday. It wasn't a 94, but it was a Jeep. And I have a fantastic story to share with you and everyone else. But first, how may I help you with your particular car?
Just this week, I started having this awful shake when I go to accelerate from a stop, or sometimes just accelerating period.
Okay.
Like, I'll be at a stop sign. I'll try to get up the highway speed. I'll get up to 40, and it'll start shaking, and I'm like, this is not the speed I want to be at. And sometimes it'll stop. Sometimes it'll keep going. Like yesterday, it did it almost the whole 45-minute drive.
Well, let me ask this question. When you're going up to speed and it's shaking, if you let off the accelerator, does it still shake when your foot is off of the accelerator? Let's say that you're going 50 miles per hour and it's shaking, and then you let off the gas because you're coming to an exit or to a stop light, but you're still going 50, 47, 46, or it's starting to slow down. But your foot is off of the accelerator. Does it still shake with your foot off of the accelerator?
Sometimes.
Okay, all right, okay. So that tells me that it is in the drive line, the transmission. And you remember, not in the transmission, but in the transmission components, which means drive transfer case or drive shaft or U-joint or axle or wheel. In other words, it's not the engine that is causing your problem. It is the things or components between the engine and the road. And that's a lot, but it's relatively simple. And here's the good news. The bad news is you got a car that you got to spend money on. The good news is, and it's the 94 model, but the good news is you can take a technician for a ride and very easily show this technician the vibration. Is that a correct statement?
Yes.
Okay. Then do you have a service there in New York? Do you have a shop that services your Jeep?
Yes.
Okay. So here's your to-do. Monday, or as soon as your schedule fits in, drive to your local service shop and don't leave your car. Don't hand them the keys. Don't, walk up to the service desk or drive into the building, ever how that works for you, and say, I want a mechanic to ride with me in my vehicle and feel what I feel, and then go from there. And Sarah, that way you and the mechanic will be on the same page, because you don't I mean, it's not your job, nor should it be, to tell a shop what's wrong with your car. It is your job to, when you're sick, you go to a doctor. When your car is sick, you go to a car doctor. So take your car into a service shop, but do not hand them the keys and say, here, fix my car. You take them for a ride so that they know exactly what you're talking about, because that's what their job is. You understand what I'm saying?
Yes.
Okay. Any questions?
Nope.
Well, good. That's great. What's the weather like in New York this morning?
Finally warm and not raining.
Oh, well, it's always warm here, almost always in the Gulf Coast of Florida, and it is raining.
I know, because I lived down there for a while.
Did you? Where did you live?
I went to school in Pensacola.
You did?
The college, just a little ways from the service shop.
Well, how did you?
Pensacola Christian College.
Oh, absolutely, yes. In fact, our business and our studios really are a stone's throw from Pensacola Christian College. We
No, 'cause I walked by there all the time when I went to the mall.
Wow. Well, are you from New York? You are.
Yeah, I'm from New York.
Yeah. Well, you just don't sound like a typical New Yorker to me.
Oh, well, maybe it's just because of where my parents are from, and maybe I just picked up an accent from somebody else. I don't know.
I think you may have. Well, I sure thank you for calling, Sarah, and I want you to have a great week.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye now. So where do you think she was from? My grandfather was from Sparta, which is in Greece. Let's go to Detroit. And welcome Jim to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Good morning, Sir Jim.
Good morning, Sir Bobby. How are you today?
I'm really great, man. I'll tell you, as I was saying earlier in the broadcast, in the opening, we had such a busy, tremendously busy week this week. And so it's kind of like running a marathon. Now I know what it feels like. Well, not really, to run a marathon, but I can imagine and I can relate. But I want to welcome you this morning, and I'll turn the mic to you. And if you would, share with us the latest in the world of automobiles or the potential new items coming in the world of automobiles.
Okay, what's new is focusing upon Tesla. Because a few hours ago, it was announced, and it's hit the newspapers across the country, that the new Model 3 is going to have a long-range version, which will charge up to 310 miles on a charge, which is going to cost $44,000 instead of $34,000. But will people buy it when it yet with all accessories could go up to $59,000? Now, some of the participants who put their $1,000 down into the thousands already are going to be waiting a year before they get a car delivered. Yet production at Tesla is claimed to get up to 400 to 500,000 cars made in a year, competing with BMW and other car manufacturers.
Well, that's interesting, and there's no question, as you and I and our audience should know by now, that Elon Musk has almost single-handedly, and I hesitate to say that, but the truth is, if it weren't for the Tesla and its popularity, even if he hasn't made any money, even if he has yet to produce a mass number of automobiles, but he certainly has had a massive influence on EV cars. And I have some information about EV cars and foreign countries, but I'll turn the mic back to you, and if you would, give us some additional information about other facts in the world.
Okay, about other facts in the world, other countries like where they produce Porsche and the Mercedes, as of January the 1st next year, they're going to start putting more bans on diesel cars from Mercedes. And this is because of the fact that the emissions are not as clean as they should be, and people are worried about environmental control.
Well, of course, VW and Dieselgate, that's a big deal, but VW has actually paid billions of dollars, and been sued, and now there are 5 of the high-level executives either with VW or that were with VW that have been charged with that fraudulent software that was added to make a VW read clean during test, but of course not drive clean going down the road. I think it's very interesting. There are other cars that were involved as well. You know, really there's some stringent rules by EPA for clean air, and there's pro and con. I hear about that, Jim. But in the big scheme of things, if you look at the state of California today and what it was like 30 years ago, it's amazing how much cleaner the air is. And to that end, if you look at China today and their pollution problems, and India and their pollution problems, it's pretty obvious that there has to be, sooner than later, better transportations and zero emitting automobiles. What else did you bring us, sir?
Okay, Bobby, I'm going to talk about Ford right now and the new police car that they've been introduced to the country. In one state, they decided that the Austin police want to pull the Explorers off the patrol. The Austin Department said that 400 Explorer SUVs on patrol worries about exhaust fumes inside the vehicles, and that's why they want them off patrol.
Wow. Inside the vehicles. Well, they'll
if
have
you got backup coming into your car smelling gas, that doesn't smell good to me.
Well, no. Well, carbon monoxide, you know, sometimes if you breathe enough of it, of course you die, but it's interesting. Those cars idle a lot, you know, and so obviously that has to be with an exhaust system that's not properly routed. I guess what that means that we're going to be seeing is on some of those cars, we're going to see exhaust pipes that extend beyond the automobile. And of course, all exhaust pipes extend out the rear as a result and as a rule, beyond the rear bumper or the rear fascia of the car. But it's interesting to hear that. We're coming up on a break, Jim, so if I'll ask you to stick with us. And folks, I'll invite you to call 888 Car Clinic, 888-227-2546. And when we come back, we'll hear the rest of the story from Jim and take your call to 888 Car Clinic. Dear Bobby, while traveling, my 08 Subaru needed to have a tire replaced due to a puncture. I could not find the exact tire and used an off-brand instead. Different brand, but same size. Could this cause problems for my all-wheel drive vehicle? Tire diameter is critical, especially on all-wheel drive vehicles. Using the same size from different manufacturers can create enough of a difference to be an issue, even with just one tire. Not to mention the differences in tread wear levels. The vehicle could shudder on turns. It could even damage the all-wheel drive system. In some vehicles, the all-wheel drive system becomes disabled and won't work at all. Vehicle manufacturers state the concern about mismatched tires and diameter differences through their service departments and technical service bulletins. Some vehicle manufacturers actually require replacement tires in sets of 4 to help avoid any issues. Buying off-brand tires can also be a problem because not all brands have nationwide coverage. This is just one of the reasons we recommend General Tire so frequently, as they're available coast to coast. Learn more at GeneralTire.com. That's GeneralTire.com.
You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
Waking up can be a chore, but mornings knocking on my front door. Know just what I'll do. Put on a pot of Folgers brew. Mountain grown aroma hits the spot. Helps me give all that I've got. An opportunity to start out smiling and happy. The best part of waking up is Folgers in your cup.
I'm privileged to be involved with Capstone Adaptive Learning, formerly known as United Cerebral Palsy, for over 25 years. Since 1953, Capstone has provided quality care programs for persons with developmental disabilities like autism, cerebral palsy, Down syndrome, and intellectual disabilities. Dr. Sherry White with her team are dedicated to Capstone's clients, and 100% of your contributions stay local to serve those in this community. Go to capstoneadaptivelearning.org to see the difference Capstone makes.
Technology moves at the speed of innovation, and today, that's lightning fast. So when you get your hands on the latest tech, don't forget to do the right thing with your old devices. Recycle them. The Consumer Technology Association and its members are making recycling your old tech device as easy as purchasing new ones. Just go to greenergadgets.org, type in your zip code, and you'll instantly find the responsible recycling location closest to your home. You'll also find lots of tips to simplify your recycling, like asking the store where you buy your new TV if they'll haul away your old one. Television sets, video game consoles, smartphones, tablets, they're all recyclable. Don't let them clog up your local landfill. Just visit greenergadgets.org. You're sharp enough to get the latest tech tools into your home. Now be responsible enough to get your old devices to the recycler. That's greenergadgets.org.
And now back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic and your host, Bobby Likis.
And welcome back to this segment of Bobby Likis Car Clinic. We're talking with Jim in Detroit and our Car Clinic reporter. Jim, back to you. And then we're going to go to Margaret in Arkansas, and then we'll take your calls at 888-227-2546. Jim, I'll turn the mic back to you, sir.
Okay, thank you so much. This is a joint project between the Windsor Tunnel and Detroit, because Detroit and Windsor are hand in hand owning that tunnel. And they're going to do a self-driving test, which will take cars in a new step forward to getting through toll plazas and also getting through an underwater tunnel. And the third is, how do they handle the idea of situations with crossing a border and getting through customs and immigration. This test is important and opens up a new horizon in the test of the cars of the future that will auto-drive and do, if possible, everything.
That reminds me of the recent news about, again, Elon Musk building a tunnel, you know, with the boring company that he owns, building a tunnel from Washington to Manhattan or to New York, and taking a 200, I think it's 200 miles, and making that a 30-minute transport. So it's going to be interesting if that ever should happen in our lifetime, but it's really something. I've actually been to Windsor and from Detroit and across the border, and there's a lot of activity there, and of course that's a short commute, but it's very interesting to hear the news. And we're talking, folks, with Jim from Detroit, who is our weekly Car Clinic reporter, and a gentleman whom I've never met, but does a fantastic job. And it's interesting what all is going on. And if you just tuned in, Jim mentioned about different countries and electric vehicles. And so, and then Margaret's on the phone as well. We're going to go to her. But before I go back to Jim, I want to ask you this. Oh, we got a call coming in. I'd like to ask you this. Do you think that there's a future for electric vehicles? And so I'll just ask you that, and to that, and we know that we have EVs, but do you think there's a big future, and you think they'll be received? And we're not talking about just the United States. Now, I will warn you, this is a trick question. So I'll be forewarned, folks, that I already know the answer. So I'd like to hear your input and see what you think about the future of electric vehicles. Jim, back to you.
Okay, Bobby. Back to me. The idea of getting electric cars, or other countries are going to impose laws in the next 20 years to keep the environment better and increase the number of sales for electric cars. I think when it becomes worldwide, that's going to be effective to increase interest in America as well. I think it all plays along with each other.
Agreed. And in closing, what else did you bring us today, sir?
Okay, in closing, by the way, going back to the Tesla car report, remember the days when you could get a Ford any color you wanted as long as it was black? Well, now Tesla's offering you 5 other colors besides black, although I still think a black car is sharp.
Yeah. Well, I agree. And of course, you know, as I've said many times on this program, and we all know, if an automobile that you really would like to have is not being made yet, not on the market, just wait 6 months, because every year something new and interesting and something updated comes out. Jim, thank you so much for your report today. I look forward to seeing you next week.
I'll be there, Bobby.
Thank you. Okay, folks, 888 Car Clinic, 888-227-2546. Margaret, welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Thank you for holding, and thank you for your call.
Thank you.
What can I do for
you? My question is, I have a 2002 Dodge Ram pickup, and my AC, as long as I am moving, it blows cold air.
Okay.
And it will for a little bit if I stop at a red light or something.
Right.
And if I sit there too long, it starts blowing hot or warm. Or if I park somewhere and idle, it doesn't blow cold.
Okay, there are two things that happen at an idle, or when you, number one, the most obvious, and this is what a lot of technicians out there who are tuned in, and a lot of guys that think they know things about cars would say, oh, the fans aren't working. So my first, the top of mind awareness answer would be the electric fans are not working. And so when you stop, there's no air blowing across the condenser, the radiator, which causes or at least both fans are not running at max, and that would cause the same identical problem of your air conditioner. You could also have, and here's where the secondary answer comes in, so because there's never a tire's flat, but if a tire's flat, there could be a hole in the wheel, in the tire, or the valve stem. I mean, that's pretty obvious. So if your air conditioner works when you're driving down the road, the compressor's turning and there's air flowing across. When you're slow or stopped at an idle, then there's an electric fan that blows air. So that even even a fan that's driven by the motor, the idling, has a controller that speeds up the fan or slows it down. Ford Motor Company has a fantastic idle control module in their vehicle, and I'm sure that Dodge and Chrysler have as well. So I said all that to say that I guess I could give you some information. Here's an easy way for you to know initially what might be wrong if it's the fans at work. So I'll make this real simple for you. When you crank the engine up and the engine is cold, like this morning, if you haven't started the engine yet, if you were to, is your Dodge Ram parked in a garage or outside?
It's in a carport.
Okay, so if you cranked your engine up in the carport, not to drive the car, not the truck, but cranked it up and let it idle with it still in the carport, and you could hear the engine running under the hood, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Well, if you, and so what I would suggest that you do is to open the hood of your vehicle and then put the driver's window down. This is before you start the car. And then with the air conditioner turned off, crank the engine. And then you'll hear the engine running, but that's all you'll hear is the engine running. Then immediately after you hear that level of noise, which is whatever engine noise you have, I want you to turn on the air conditioner. The air conditioner, and then within 30 seconds, you will hear the fans on the engine or the radiator come on. You'll hear that fan blowing. If you do not, then that tells me that the electric fans are not running and that your problem with your air conditioner is not with the air conditioner, but with the electric fans that cool the condenser that allow the air conditioner to do its job. And the reason this is so important, and for all of you out there who have a car that overheats, you'd be surprised. Sometimes you turn on the heater and it helps to cool because there's a radiator in the car. That's what a heater core is. So when you turn the fan on and the car is overheating and you turn the heater on, that is actually helping the engine to cool if there's a problem with the radiator. Well, that same fan that cools the radiator for the air conditioner is the same fan that works when the engine needs cooling, but that fan doesn't come on until the engine reaches operating temperature. So if you have a air conditioning system that's doing what yours is, Margaret, not working at an idle, or you have a car that is overheating, but you're not sure if the fans work, an easy way to find out if the fans work is to do what I just suggested, to listen for the fans, turn the air conditioner on, and even when the engine is cold, which means it's below 180, 200 degrees, the fans don't come on till afterwards. Even if the engine is cold, you have 5 minutes before or longer before the fans come on for the engine's sake, but they will come on immediately when you turn the air conditioner on. So that's a kind of a long answer, but it's an easy way for you as a car owner to know if the fans are working. Then when you go into a service shop, you could say, you know, I turn on my air conditioner, it doesn't work. What do you think's wrong with it? And they're going to say, well, we have to perform tests on it. Well, that is true. They do have to perform tests, but it would save you time and save you money, their time, your money, if you could say, I'm not sure the fans are working. And you'd be surprised at the look on a shop owner or a customer care provider's face when, Margaret, you walk in, you say, you know, guys, I turned my air conditioner on, but the fans are not running under the hood. And does that have anything to do with it? And now you know enough about what your car should be doing that you're on the same page, and there's that intimidation, that wall, that communication, all of that is solved, and and your experience at a service shop will be enhanced. And that's really what I love to do. You got it?
Okay. Now, can you tell me this? Could it be a fuse problem, that the fuse is blown on one of these fans?
Doubtful.
Okay.
Because those fans are controlled by relays, and there certainly are probably fuses or fusible links, but it doesn't matter. The answer is, yeah, it could be, but it doesn't matter. In other words, you've got an arm that's bleeding, and so you go to a doctor, and your question is, do you stitch up my arm, or do you use tape or super glue? Well, it doesn't matter. You got whatever it takes to fix the problem. So it doesn't matter if you got a fuse blown, except well, I guess it would matter, because you feel like you could check the fuse, but don't go there. Don't go there, okay. Because now you're getting into the testing process, and that's beyond your scope of knowledge, and it's beyond your neighbor next door scope of knowledge. You don't go there. You take your car to a shop and let them determine the next steps, because once you get there, just in the act of doing something to test something or check something, I mean, you know, if it was a headlight, you could put a seal beam, or you could put a halogen bulb in it. But in the big scheme of things, you've got an air conditioning problem that needs to be tested and diagnosed. And so don't take that, you know, on yourself, because it's not that simple. And even if it were that simple, it's still better that you let them replace the fuse or find the fuse. Even if you have to pay them to diagnose it, and they find a fuse, you have to know, why did the fuse blow? You see where I'm going there?
Okay.
So you could replace the fuse and say, oh, I'm in good shape, and you go on a trip, and a summer trip, just like I talked earlier about O'Reilly Auto Parts and summer trips. You could say, oh, all it was a fuse. And so you load up the kids, you load up the car, and you go, and the first time you stop for a bio break or to get gas, that fuse blows again. You got no air conditioner, and you put another fuse in it. This time, whatever blew the fuse is blowing the second one, the third one, the fourth one. So you did not fix the cause. Cause and effect. Okay. That's what service shops are in. Cause and effect. What caused the problem, and what effect did it have, and what can we do to fix not only what was broken, but what caused it to break. You see the process?
I see.
Okay. I'm sure glad you called me this morning. And
well, thank you very much.
You are more than welcome. Call again. Thank you, Margaret.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
So that's why I have conversations, and that's why it's important for you to know a little more about the car that you drive. Because when you leave a shop after paying that, whatever it is, $500, $1,000, or $1,500, or $2,000, you don't really know what that shop has done. So you need to be more involved in it. And now, through this conversation I've had with Margaret, she'll have a better idea of how to communicate. Let's take a call from David, who has an 02 Lexus ES300. David, welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Thank you for holding.
Thank you.
What can I do for you?
Yes, I changed the timing belt at 52,000 miles. I bought a new. Now, of course, 8 years later, it has 122,000 miles. Question: is it advisable to change the timing belt at this time?
Absolutely. What year car is this? A 02?
This is 2002 ES300 model.
Okay, a question. If you change the timing belt at 50, you said 50 what thousand in the 50s?
52,000 at 52K, right?
Okay. Well, that
8
was
years ago.
How many years?
8.
8 years ago. Well, let's see. 8 years ago would have put you at 2009.
Yes,
So it was 7 years old with 50,000 miles. Now it's 10 years old or 15 years old with 122. By all means, the timing belt should be changed again, along with the pulley that comes with it, and it's called a timing belt kit. So whatever you do, do not change the belt only. Make sure that the shop that replaces the belt replaces the adjacent and matching pulleys and tensioner assembly, and the water pump while you're there. That is protocol for a Lexus automobile. Did that answer your question?
Yep. Let me ask you, can you recommend somebody in Palm Beach Gardens or Lake Worth or Jupiter?
Go to asashop.org, asashop.org, and check from there, and you'll find a shop that's qualified, and I'll be back, folks.
This is Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Bobby Likis Car Clinic is a copyrighted presentation of Car Clinic Productions Incorporated and may not be reproduced or rebroadcast without the express written approval of Car Clinic Productions Incorporated.
Folks, recently we had a for-sale on a 2014 Nissan Frontier in the shop. The customer said the vehicle wasn't running well, nothing specific, but fuel mileage was down and the vehicle had lost its zip. As he explained, it's a manual transmission, so I know what it should feel like, and it's just not right. The suggested maintenance and ignition service were up to date, and there were no trouble codes. So what was the problem? The answer lies with today's complex engines. While the maintenance schedule was on time, engines today are prone to carbon deposit formation, and fuel system cleaning is a key piece of the puzzle. Professional fuel system cleaning is an option, but a less expensive alternative is the use of a pour-in fuel system cleaner. We use Berryman B12 Chem Tool in the shop. It features Berryman's proprietary high-energy solvent, or HEST technology. We poured a bottle of Berryman B12 Chem Tool into the Frontier, and after just one tank of gas, MPG improved and the vehicle regained its zippiness. For more information, drive to BerrymanProducts.com. That's BerrymanProducts.com.
You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
If you're familiar with the Kulseford section of the newspaper, you probably understand this message quite well. You see, in the Kulseford section, everything gets abbreviated. Consonants, vowels, prepositional phrases, the very building blocks of our language are thrown right out the window. And that makes it difficult when you're trying to sell your car. You've got a limited amount of space to work with, and by the time you abbreviate the description of your car down to a couple of fragmented sentences, it sounds less like a car and more like a Bluck sedan with sniffed like new condition lemurs. No wonder more people are selling their cars through eBay Motors. They can post unlimited text and photo descriptions, and with a nationwide marketplace, they're likely to sell it for more. Plus, both parties can be covered by eBay's vehicle protection program. Buyers are happy, sellers are happy, and no one's abbreviating. eBay Motors, a better way to sell your car.
Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Countdown to 3-minute mark. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, mark. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Countdown to 1-minute mark. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, mark. Countdown to 30-second mark. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, mark. Countdown to 10-second mark. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, mark. Welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. If you have a car question for Bobby, call now at 1-800-264-5454, toll-free from anywhere in America. And now, here's your host, Bobby Likis.
And welcome to this edition of Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Sit back, ride along with me this hour, and if you have a car question, I'll take it. Miss Jan will actually answer the phones at 888 Car Clinic, 888-227-2546. This segment of Bobby Likis Car Clinic is brought to you by General Tire and the new G-Max AS05, featuring smart technologies. The G-Max AS05 provides visual wear alerts, all-season performance, and longer tread life. It's truly a smarter tire for a smarter driver. You can learn more about the G-Max AS05 at generaltire.com. 888-227-2546. Miss Jan will take your call, put you in the queue, and I will put you on the air. I'm proud to say that this segment is also brought to you by Car Clinic Broadcast Network. That would be yours truly and my team, Fabio and Miss Jan and Jonathan Sloan. So sit back, give me a call, and let's get started. Please don't wait till the end of the last 5 minutes of the program to say, "Oh, I've got a car question." Now is the time for you to get in, and there are no dumb. The only dumb car question is the one not asked. So let's get it. Let's kick it off. My question to you: what do you think of the future of EV cars, electric vehicle and hybrid cars? 888 Car Clinic. I want to hear from you.
Your car and your life have a lot of moving parts, and your car's battery is what keeps it all going. Here's something to keep in mind. While all batteries may look the same on the outside, it's what's inside that matters. So be sure to choose a battery with power frame technology inside. It's stronger, more durable, and keeps you going longer. That means you can count on a battery with power frame to be there start after start. Here's another reason to feel good about choosing a battery with power frame inside. It's manufactured using the latest sustainable processes. You're moving fast, and you don't want anything to slow you down, especially an unreliable battery. So the next time you need to replace your car's battery, make sure you choose one with power frame technology inside. Look for power frame on the outside, and know there's true strength on the inside.
Diablo Sport tuning systems boost your vehicle's power without popping the hood. But don't take my word for it. NHRA racer Bart Tobener has used Diablo Sport since 2001 and currently has an Intune i2 on his daily driver. Bart, the first to eclipse the 7-second mark with an S550 Mustang, knows horsepower. Says Bart, "I'll continue to use Diablo as they lead the way in aftermarket handheld and tuning products." Drive to DiabloSport.com.
It's Mosquito Awareness Week, and Dynatrap has 3 simple steps to help you stay safe from mosquitoes this summer. 1. Remove standing water in planters and other places water can collect. 2. Wear light-colored long-sleeve clothing and apply repellents when outdoors. 3. Inspect and patch holes in screen doors and windows. Head to Dynatrap.com/Mosquito Week for more tips and tricks on keeping mosquitoes at bay all summer long.
You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
Another lending success story from LendingTree.com.
Car dealers like playing games. They play percentage points, they play markups, but I don't like playing with my money. So I got my auto loan through LendingTree.com. I filled out one simple form, a marketplace of banks and lenders competed over it, and I got 4 offers back within hours. After all, the car buying game is a lot easier to win when you're holding all the cards.
LendingTree.com. When banks compete, you win. For additional information and state license disclosures, please visit our website located at lendingtree.com.
Driving has a rhythm all its own. Don't wreck it with a text. Before you get behind the wheel, silence your phone. Or better yet, designate a texter. For more text-free driving tips, visit stoptextstoprex.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council and the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration.
And now back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic and your host, Bobby Likis.
Okay, let's get this hour started. And again, I would invite you to join me if you have a car question or you just want to talk cars, or maybe there's a local service provider in your hometown who has done a great service for you. I will share with you this hour what our team did just yesterday, and I call it outstanding service. And it had all to do with convenience for the customer. It had all to do with saving money for our clients and our customer. It had all to do with integrity and respect and all of the things that, quite candidly, life is all about. If you like that man and pass that man in the mirror test, and I just want to share this with you. It's burning a hole in my pocket. We had a customer, but first I'll invite you to call 888 Car Clinic. Miss Jan will take your call, put you in the queue. 888-227-2546. This segment of Bobby Likis Car Clinic is brought to you by Power Frame Grid Technologies. Batteries may all look the same on the outside, but it's what's inside that really matters. Power Frame Grid Technology is tested to be more durable and provide superior cranking power. You can learn more at powerframe.com. And just yesterday, we had a lady that came in and brought her Jeep in. This Jeep did not have any headlights, so it was dangerous. This Jeep did not have any horn or turn signals, so it was dangerous. We checked it out. It also had an airbag light on, as I remember. So we checked it out, and sure enough, there was a module that was defective, a very expensive electronic module. Well, here we go again. So Brennan Beasley is our general manager. He's 35 years old. He's very intelligent. He understands how to communicate with our customers, and he is a straight shooter. That's small and as easy as I can describe him. So here's what he did yesterday. And this is part of our team, a leader in our team. During his research on locating the part for this customer, he called our local Jeep dealer, which is Hill Kelly Dodge. He also learned during the finding of the part that part was very expensive, but there was a recall involved on that part. He had already talked with the customer. She had already gone to work, and she works and runs a company on the beach, and that's some 15 miles from here. It's a ways out there. It's a 30-minute drive. So what he did was called to ask about the recall, but they were busy, so he had to leave the number. He called again, so luckily, he said, I'm just not getting through, so he called the third time. He talked with someone. They were behind because they were really busy. However, they said because it's a recall and a safety item, we'll work that car in. So the general manager of Bobby Likis Car Clinic Service Pre-Repair drove that car over to the local Hill Kelly Dodge Jeep dealer. And Miss Jan, I believe you followed him over and picked him up. Is that correct? Yes. So the office manager, comptroller, and yours truly, Miss Jan, followed my general manager. Both took off work, took this customer Jeep to the local dealership, new car dealership, and left it for repairs. And then later on that afternoon, late yesterday afternoon, picked that Jeep up. Now, this lady that owns this Jeep is at work and running her business all day long. We picked that car up. Everything worked on it because it was recalled, and they replaced this part at no charge to us, at no charge to the dealer. And my team then left that vehicle out because she had a spare key, locked the key in the vehicle. And this person my team saved this owner $600 in repairs because we learned the car was under, and the repair was under recall. You tell me if that's not the epitome of service and ethics, and I will absolutely eat your hat. And I will tell you, to that end, I am so proud that for 2017, Bobby Likis Car Clinic Service Pre-Repair won the Better Business Bureau Torch Award for Ethics in Business. And we were awarded that. I mentioned this last week, and I have to mention it again. And in yesterday's Gannett's Pensacola News Journal paper, there was a half-page illustration that showed the Better Business Bureau Torch Award of Ethics. And I can't tell you, now I know how, of course I already knew how a proud father felt with 2 daughters, but that's been a while. Now I know what it feels like to truly be recognized for the outstanding job that my team does on a daily basis for our service customers. So to Johnny and to Michael and to Rusty and to Brennan and to Jan and to Diane and to Larry and all of our great team at Bobby Likis Car Clinic Pre-Repair, hats off to you for doing what we're supposed to be doing. And I share that, and if you're in the automotive service business, take a lesson from that and match that. And if you can match that, I will put you on this national broadcast and share it with everyone across the nation. Let's go to Washington, take a call from Victor. Victor, welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
Yeah, hi, Bobby. I remember back a while ago, and I was kind of forgetting what happened there, but they had these runaway cars, and I was thinking, why couldn't they turn the key off or put it in neutral or something like that? And could that ever happen again? Being as everything's controlled by computer, your throttle, I guess, controlled by computer, and computer went nuts.
Right.
What would you suggest they do? Because in a panic situation, they probably wouldn't know unless they knew ahead of time.
Well, number one, that never happened.
Oh, they never had runaways?
No, sir.
Oh.
That was media. That was devious car owners. You remember that we had and we saw some car owner driving on the interstate in California running 100 miles an hour on his cell phone saying, "Help, help, I'm running 100, I can't." Yeah. And then later on he wrecked the car. Sir, that never happened. Now, that happened, but he was the one that had his foot on the accelerator. That just doesn't happen. Here's what really happened, Victor. So can a car run over you? Well, yeah, sure it can. But it's the driver that controls the vehicle, not the car that controls the vehicle. When you first start an engine, if you'll go back to the days of the carburetor, you had to open the throttle to give the engine air, otherwise it would never start. And you had to pat the accelerator to pump fuel in the engine, or it would never get fuel. So you have to prime it. And so when you prime it with fuel and you open the throttle, you crank it, and the minute that the engine would crank up, you would let off the accelerator and it would come back to an idle. But if the car had a carburetor, the automatic choke would put part of its flapper or its hand over its mouth and make it draw more fuel. That's the old days. Today's cars have throttle control and idle air controls that increase the speed of the idle during cold starts automatically. Now, that is done in one of two ways, either by opening the throttle with a a motor that's controlled by the computer, or by a tracheotomy, by a bypass air intake. It is called idle air controller, or a cold start valve, or a valve that allows air to enter the engine and bypass the throttle plate. Air's got to enter you can put all the fuel in the engine, but if you don't put any air, the engine's just going to not run. It's going to flood and it won't fire. You have to have a mixture of air and fuel, and the fuel can't be liquid. It has to be gas. So, in a gaseous state. So, these, before, and going back to the days of the Audi, when the Audi was supposed to have run over people in the driveway, and also that never happened as well. Granted, it happened, but it never happened the way it was positioned in the media. When the engine cranks up all today, and just like mine did when I cranked up my car this morning at 1,300 RPM, and I waited till the engine warmed a bit and it slowed down, I could have just as easily have put it into gear and let it back out of the drive, which I did. And when I come back, I'll tell you the rest of that story. And folks, your car will do this. So if you have a vehicle that idles fast, there's nothing wrong with it in the morning. I'll be back. In our latest Talking Tires segment, General Tires Senior Communications Specialist John Robinson explains why it's important to look at a tire's age when considering replacement, not just miles driven on the tires.
You have to be careful because sometimes you think, well, I haven't driven those tires too many miles, but if a car sits, you've got flat spotting, you also have dry rot or cracking to the sidewalls of the tire. Just because there aren't a whole lot of miles on the tire doesn't mean that the age, the heat, and the sun haven't negatively affected the tire. So you want to examine the tire, kind of figure out how old the tires actually are, and go from there.
Introducing the Grabber HD, a heavy-duty, all-season tire for commercial light trucks and vans that delivers long, even tread life, durability, confident traction, and handling. The Grabber HD features sidewall curb guards to help protect the tire from potential sidewall abrasions, and a rigid outer shoulder provides stability and handling under loaded conditions. For more, go to GeneralTire.com. That's GeneralTire.com. Good morning, Car Clinic listeners nationwide. It's that time of the year again. I've been talking with you about your automobiles for over 26 years now, and I've been servicing vehicles here in my own automotive service shop for 46 years. We've won Best Automotive Service Shop, Best Oil Change, and Best Reputation in Automotive Service, and I'd be honored if you vote for my service shop again this year for Best of the Coast. Go to inweekly.net. Look for Best of the Coast voting, click Services, scroll all the way to the bottom, then key in Bobby Likis for Best Automotive Service Shop and Best Oil Change. 4 simple steps. inweekly.net, Services, scroll to the bottom, key in Bobby Likis for Best Automotive Service Shop and Best Oil Change. One more time, inweekly.net, Services, scroll to the bottom, key in Bobby Likis for Best Automotive Service Shop and Best Oil Change. I really appreciate your vote.
You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
Telephone
From Geico Auto Insurance.
When calling Geico to switch your car insurance, you will not need acetaminophen, naproxen, indomethacin, ibuprofen, a cold compress, an on-call acupuncturist, or any other pain remedy. In 15 minutes, you could save 15% or more. If it were any more painless, you could do it in your sleep, which is theoretically possible since we offer complete 24-hour service. Call 1-800-947-AUTO, 1-800-947-AUTO. Geico Direct, the sensible alternative.
When you purchase the latest TV, tablet, or smartphone, don't forget to do the right thing with your old ones. Recycle them. The Consumer Technology Association and its members are making recycling your old devices as easy as buying new ones. Just go to greenergadgets.org, type in your zip code, and you'll instantly find the recycling location closest to your home. You'll also find recycling tips, like asking the store where you buy your new TV if they'll haul away your old one. Don't let your old tech tools clog your local landfill. Just visit greenergadgets.org.
And now back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic and your host, Bobby Likis.
And thank you, Marty White. Welcome back to this segment of Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Miss Jan will take your calls at 888 Car Clinic, 888-227-2546. And put you in the queue, and I will put you on the air. We're talking with Victor in Washington. And Victor, so all engines, when you crank the engine up and it's cold, have to idle fast because there's extra friction. And then once they are idling fast, the computer will adjust the idle speed by closing either the throttle plate that was just cracked enough to make it idle at 1,000, 1,200, 1,500 RPM max, and bring it down to a decent idle. Or if that fast idle is not using the throttle plate, there's a bypass door. I call it the stage door, or like a tracheotomy. There's another way for air to get into the lungs of the engine than the throttle. And if you were to put the car in gear during this initial startup phase, which lasts about 10, 12, 15 seconds, sometimes longer, the car would leap ahead or leap behind. And if you were standing in front of it, or if you're in your garage, you'd run into the garage wall, which I have bumped my wall a couple times just because I didn't stop. You know, I think we've all done that at one time or other. It had nothing to do with the car, though. It was just the fact that I was trying to see how close I could get without bumping the wall. Having said that, that is where this farce came from. The farce meaning that cars are runaway cars. Okay, now, having said that, what was created as a fixer for that must-do item was that for a car to be pulled from park to drive, you must have your foot on the brake. And what they did was they put a lockout, like a deadbolt. So there's a deadbolt, electronic solenoid deadbolt on the gear shift lever that will not allow the lever to be moved out of the park position unless your foot is on the brake. How does it know? Well, there's a brake light switch. And the brake light switch sends current to the brake lights, and at the same time sends current to this solenoid, and the solenoid retracts the deadbolt, and now you can pull the car out of gear, which means that even when it's idling fast, if you got your foot on the brake, doesn't matter because you're not going to let it move. So that's the truth of it, and that's the facts of it. And there was a lot of media attention about runaway cars and those things. And yes, I think that a child was run over, perhaps even lost his life or her life. I don't know, but I just know that that was one of the transitions that the automotive industry has gone through, just like cars that used to have no ABS brakes, and now they do, and now in bad weather, you just lock the brakes up and the brakes take over for you. Standard equipment on all cars. Any questions?
Maybe I just have a faulty memory and I'm mixing up with something else, but I thought one person even got killed, or a lady or something was driving and ran away, and she went to the point it finally crashed and had a death. Maybe that's not correct.
There, as I said, there may have been someone that was run over in their driveway because before, this is back in the Audi days, or back when Audi was blamed for all this, but there was never an Audi. I mean, and I have had cars to wreck under my roof because they were idling while we were working on them, and they fell out of park and went into reverse. And to that end, it was my brother's car that happened, and he lives in Alabama, in Birmingham, and I had his brand new car here, but it was a manual linkage, and it didn't get pushed all the way in park, or the linkage wasn't correct, or what have you. And so that has happened. And if someone had been standing there, it would have run over somebody. It could have killed them, absolutely. It did damage the back of his car and in front of another customer's car. Not severely, but enough that it was a bad occurrence. And to that end now, whenever any automobile comes into our service shop, automatically the driver's window goes down and is left down the whole time, so that if that ever happens, which it knock on wood, hasn't happened in many, many years, but if that does happen, we can dive through the window chasing the car, because there's no way you can chase a car from the front and open the door and then get into the car, but you could dive through the window and grab the gear shift lever. So, but I'm mixing a lot of older type vehicles compared to newer types, and so these days you cannot pull a car out of park without, because of what I stated above. So there were people that claimed, just like I mentioned, the guy that was on the interstate that was driving 100 miles an hour when his cell phone said, "Oh, I don't know how to stop this car." So how would you stop a car? Let's fast forward. If you have a start-stop car, a push-button car, you hold that start button in for 2 seconds while the car is running, and the engine will die. It automatically kills the engine. Now, in cars before that, we did a piece for ABC WEAR TV3, which is the Gulf Coast ABC affiliate, about engine runaway during that time. And I actually took a Toyota, and we filmed the Toyota in a parking lot, and I took an alignment tool that we used to hold the brake down, and I used it to hold the gas pedal all the way down. And so we're driving the car, I've got the gas pedal held all the way down, and I'm filming with someone in the car. What do? Just push the lever in neutral. And when you push the lever in neutral, well, what is that? That is very interesting. When you push the lever in neutral, actually, I think that must have been my Mac. That was my Mac computer. Did you hear that? Do you hear that noise? Wow, that's cool. When we pushed the gear shift lever into neutral, the engine ran away, but the car didn't have any connection to the transmission, so the brakes stopped the car immediately. Now, what you might be concerned about is, well, wouldn't that blow up the engine? Well, no, because the engine is automatically governed by the computer. So you can take any new car today and go back 5, 10 years, 15 years, put it in neutral, crank it up, let it warm, and hold your foot all the way to the accelerator floor in the parking lot in neutral or in park, and it will not blow the engine up. The engine will go up to a certain RPM, and the onboard computer will automatically govern the RPM and stop it from blowing the engine up.
Yeah, I always wondered why that it looked to me like that car could have been stopped in quite a few different ways,
Well,
but
sure.
it was all a fantastic type story.
Fantastic media. Yeah, yeah.
On these electric cars you were talking about, what if we had a sunspot? They claim if it just misses, and they had one, I guess, many years ago before they got back in the old days where they had a lot of electricity. And if we had one of them sun blasts that knocks out the electricity, and we had a lot of electric cars, unless you had your own little generator or something, or are they going to have a little gasoline motor too, so you have two different ways to keep traveling, or would there get to that problem on electric cars?
Well, number one, they don't drive real time off of sunlight or solar power. And solar power doesn't do anything real time except charge batteries, and it is the batteries. So you could put a battery in a car, take the alternator and throw it away, or disconnect the alternator, and the car would run until the battery ran out of juice, which would take X amount of hours. So just like if you tuned into satellite radio and you go through a tunnel, there's no connection to the radio. So if you're listening to a satellite radio, and you go through a tunnel that's longer than, say, 5 seconds, you will lose that signal. But because there's a delay, you don't lose it immediately. So number one, to answer your question about EV cars, and it was a question that I put out there, what's the future of EV cars? And so that is a question, folks, that I'll put out there and invite you and your opinion. What is the future of EV cars? Is that really going to be, are we really going to see that catch on? And so, but Victor, back to your statement, an EV car, total electric power, will run until the battery gets low, and you'll be warned, and then you'll find a place to stop and charge the battery. Or a hybrid car will have its own little internal combustion engine, very small engine that is a generator, just like we have a generator for power outages during hurricanes or bad weather, and will continue to run the car. That's what a hybrid. The Chevrolet Bolt, as in Bobby, B-O-L-T, is a battery-powered automobile. The Chevrolet Volt, as in V-O-L-T, Victor, is a hybrid. And so, or Prius rather, is a hybrid. So the Prius has a gasoline motor, and so does the Volt, have a gasoline motor that charges the battery, and the battery runs the wheels, and the ICM, the ICE, the internal combustion engine, never drives the wheels. It only charges the generator that charges the battery that drives the wheels. So that technology is here, and it is growing, and I say it's going to be a big part of the futures. How big? We shall see. I do have some information, but I'd love to hear from the audience first. Hey, and Victor, thank you so much for your call.
Yeah, you bet. Thank you.
Let's go to South Carolina and take a call from Alan, and then I'll take your calls. And the question for you is, do you think there's a future in EVs, either hybrid or straight altogether electric vehicles? Alan, welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Thanks for holding.
You're welcome. I have a question on the 2006 Sonata.
Okay.
It's a six-cylinder, and it's got about 88,000 miles on it. And we used to call it noisy lifters or tappets, and that's what I hear for the first 10 minutes or so of driving.
Mm-hmm.
Is that the nature of the beast or something I should be concerned with?
Well, anytime you hear engine noise, you should be concerned, especially for 10 minutes. What comes to my mind first would be sludged oil, and that would occur if the oil was not getting to the hydraulic lifters. And that would occur if the sludge or the filter was stopped up, not the filter, but the screen and the oil pickup. So, I guess my question would be to you is, have you changed the oil frequently, and have you had this car long enough to know that it's got enough miles that it's had clean oil for some length of time, or did you just buy this car?
No, I've had it for some time.
Okay.
I've had it since 2006.
I'll tell you, hey, we got a break, and we're already into that break. It's a hard break. So, Alan, you stay there, and folks, you call 888 Car Clinic.
Your car and your life have a lot of moving parts, and your car's battery is what keeps it all going. Here's something to keep in mind. While all batteries may look the same on the outside, it's what's inside that matters. So be sure to choose a battery with power frame technology inside. It's stronger, more durable, and keeps you going longer. That means you can count on a battery with power frame to be there start after start. Here's another reason to feel good about choosing a battery with power frame inside. It's manufactured using the latest sustainable processes. You're moving fast, and you don't want anything to slow you down, especially an unreliable battery. So the next time you need to replace your car's battery, make sure you choose one with power frame technology inside. Look for power frame on the outside and know there's true strength on the inside.
You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
More than 1 million wild animals are killed each year illegally. Poaching is a major threat to our country's wildlife. I'm Tom Barry. I'm an actor with a desire to preserve living space for wildlife. The Humane Society Wildlife Land Trust does just that. Works with private landowners to protect wildlife, to preserve natural habitats. To learn more or to work with the Humane Society Wildlife Land Trust, call 800-729-SAVE. That's 800-729-SAVE, or visit wildlifelandtrust.org. Thank you.
Did you know 26 million Americans have kidney disease and most don't know it?
The day I was diagnosed, I didn't know what to do. I called the National Kidney Foundation, and the young lady who answered stayed on the phone with me and walked me through step by step. She too was surviving kidney disease. And she showed me there could be life after kidney disease.
Visit the National Kidney Foundation at kidney.org. Now you know.
We're a land of cynics. We don't believe anything anymore. You know why? Because we've been told we've won $1 million, that it's new and improved, that it slices and dices, that our favorite singer is still alive, that we'll be prosecuted if we cut off the tags, And of course, that everything is backed with a 100% money-back guarantee. So when we hear the words customer service, we don't believe it. Travelocity isn't surprised if you're a little skeptical when they say they have excellent customer service, and that there's actually a pleasant face behind this website, a living, breathing person with a supercharged computer full of answers. Someone who's willing to help when you get lost, and most of all, someone that will actually pick up the phone when you call with a question or a concern. Customer service is just another example of how Travelocity puts you in control of travel. Chances are you'll never have to use it, but it's good to know it'll be there if you need it. Travelocity.com. Go virtually anywhere.
And now back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic and your host, Bobby Likis.
And welcome back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. I'll remind you every Saturday from 10 till noon Eastern Time, you can tune this broadcast in at your local AM and or FM radio station. And also you can go to Watch Bobby Live, and I'll wave at the camera. We're HD, high definition on our own YouTube channel. There's social media that I would love for you to follow us on. This program also can be subscribed to through iTunes so that you can catch it anytime, any day, and you can put it on your own phone or whatever device that you have as well. And that's youtube.com/Bobby Likis, twitter.com, same, and Pinterest. And we on our Pinterest page, we have a lot of automotive pictures where we have patients, we call them, on the operating table, which are cars that are torn apart, and have pictures. So it's really interesting. So if you want to do like a timing belt job on your car, or a head gasket, or a water pump, or a battery, or electrical connections, you can see where we have repaired cars like that. So it's very informative as well. We're talking with Alan in South Carolina, who has a 06 Hyundai Sonata with a noisy engine. And Alan, you say this lifter noise, it sounds like lifters, occurs
That's
for
what
the
it sounds like.
Yeah, for the first 10 minutes.
Like to me.
Exactly, yes, sir. Well, you said for the first 10 minutes or so. Does that mean every morning you crank it up and drive, the first 10 minutes you're going to hear this noise?
That's correct.
Okay. It's possible that it could be an exhaust leak, because an exhaust leak would require, and does often leak when it's cold, but then when the engine warms up and the exhaust manifold gets hot, the manifold grows with the heat, and it's typical for a manifold to close the gap and quieten up, or quieten down, as it were, when it gets hot. So what I would do, the first thing I would do is I would crank the engine up when it's cold with the hood open, and I would take a stethoscope, and you can buy a stethoscope at any auto parts store, and the stethoscope is an automotive stethoscope, has a metal probe on the end of it. You can touch anything that's not moving on the engine, like the valve cover, the cam cover, the front timing cover, the exhaust, anywhere that's not moving, and pinpoint where that noise is coming from. And if it is lifter or cam noise, you'll be able to really hear it, because it magnifies the noise greatly. If it's an exhaust leak, it doesn't work the same. If it's an exhaust leak, you pull the probe off of the stethoscope, and now you've got an empty tube. And when I blow into the microphone, if you had an exhaust leak, it would go into the tube, and you would hear that. So you can use that same stethoscope with the end on or off to test different various things under the hood. If it is lifter noise, then you can change oil, or you can flush the engine, and if it has sludge in it, that may or may not, it's most difficult to remove sludge from an engine. Now, having said all that, there's one more item that comes to mind, and that is timing chain tensioner. You could have a timing chain tensioner that is giving the problem, and also you could have accessory drive like water pump, air conditioner, power steering, or other idler pulleys that would cause the problem. So the first thing to do is try to pinpoint where the noise is, and if you believe it to be something that's being turned by the engine, i.e. by the belt, then a shop would, or you could, take the drive belt off and crank the engine, because you can run the engine when it's cold 3 to 5 minutes and never damage the engine, because the only thing turning is the engine. And so if the noise is not there with the belt off, you know it's one of those things that the belt turns, like power steering pulley or water pump or what have you. So does that kind of give you a better sense of direction?
That's great, yes. And I do change the oil faithfully. I changed over to synthetic oil about 2 years ago.
Good.
And that seemed to lessen it somewhat.
Well, then, by all means, if that had an effect, and you changed the synthetic and that had an effect, it sounds like it is coming from the inside of the engine. My concern there is not that it's lifters. My concern there is that it's timing chain and it's guides, that these are guides that occur inside. And if that's the case, it will get worse, and if it ever should come loose, then you've got a terrible event on your hand. I really believe that you should take it to a service shop and pay them an hour. You know, you can agree, Alan, to say, okay, you know, what will you charge me? And they'll not to fix my car, because they don't know what's wrong with it, but what will you charge me to test my car? I started to use the word diagnose because that's used really often in our industry, but I try not to use the word diagnose, because if I say, okay, you know, your car's got a problem, I'm going to test it like an electrical system, and you know, what's it going to cost? Well, we'll do a cursory inspection, and we'll check the check engine lights and go into the architecture of the electronics, and we'll spend an hour, and your initial cost will be $115. You expect that after that initial $115 that we'll be able to tell you what's wrong with the car. That is not always the case. So there needs to be clarification as to what that first hour is going to cost and what's going to occur during that first hour, and then the prognosis from there. So what we do is we perform multiple tests during this agreed upon first hour, and we give you the reports of those tests. It's like going to a doctor. It's really simple, but not in my profession. And I deal with this every day, and so do car owners, my customers, and so do you and everyone tuned in. I can give you the results of these specific tests, like you get results of blood work or stress tests or MRIs, but it doesn't mean that fixes any problem. It only means that it gives you a sense of direction as to the next steps that may be necessary to get to the end of or the repair of a situation. Does that make sense?
That makes a lot of sense. Can they still diagnose or test on an engine that's already warm? It's not making that noise anymore.
No. No. If you can't hear it, it's out of sight, out of mind. So that there, in your case, you're going to leave your vehicle, and in your case, they've got all of 10 minutes. Alan, you know, I'll tell you the tough part. We get cars that act up the first 2 minutes or the first 30 seconds. And so we get them in, and we have to keep them overnight, and next morning we do our initial test, but the car heals itself before we actually, you know, can get into it. And then we have to keep it another day. I mean, you know, yeah, it happens, and those are those erratic. That, you know, as I say, a lot of times your car runs like a till of the Hun with you, and it runs like mismanaged when you take it to a shop. But anyway, you're going to have to seek a shop, and so there in South Carolina, find you a shop you trust. Make an appointment. Take your car in the evening of the day before, and leave it for them to hear the noise that morning. And if it's an obvious noise, I've actually had people to bring their cars and leave it, and on a noise that we couldn't hear. And then we leave it, and they had to come down the next day and crank the car up with us, for us, and say, that's it, that's the noise I'm talking about. Oh, yeah, I do hear that. Then the noise goes away. And sometimes if it's that quick and that short, you just live with it. You know, sometimes you got to know when to hold them and when to fold them. In your case, 10 minutes will give a shop adequate time to make an adequate decision on what your next steps are, and you will have only, sometimes it's so obvious that they don't need to spend an hour. They don't need to spend all of your 100, whatever their labor rate is, 50 or 70 or 200 or whatever. They can listen to it and say, oh, I know we have to go into the engine. Now the next question is, what's it going to cost to do that? So, but you're not there yet, but I'm sure that by now you've got a next step and you understand my explanation. Any questions?
Very good. That's good counsel. Thanks a lot, Bobby.
You're welcome,
Alan.
Alan.
I'll follow through on it.
Thank you for your confidence and your trust, and thanks for tuning in there. I appreciate you, and anytime. And when you get to the other side, feel free. I'd love for you and request that you do call me back. And
I will do that.
Yeah, and I'd love for you to vote for my service shop as well, if you would.
I wish you were in this area. I would certainly do that.
Well, you can still do that, even from your area. Thank you again, Alan.
Okay, thank you, sir.
And folks, for you to vote, it's pretty easy. To go to inweekly.net. That's inweekly.net. Go to vote for Best of the Coast. Go to services. There are 5 categories there. Go to services and scroll all the way to the bottom of the page and key in Bobby Likis or Bobby Likis Car Clinic for Best Automotive Shop and Best Oil Change. Let's go to Texas and take a call from Jeremy. Jeremy, welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
Morning, Bobby.
Morning, sir.
I was calling about the lady that you just spoke with, her 2002 Dodge Ram that was, the air conditioner was not working at idle.
Yeah.
Stationary.
Yes, sir.
I had a 2002 Ram half-ton that had the exact same problem. And what the problem was on the Dodges of that generation, the condenser is not behind the radiator; they're split. So there's an electric fan on the driver's side of the front end when you open the hood.
Right.
And so what the problem was for me was either it'll be a fuse or it'll be the little electric motor, because that fan's not tied to the drive fan behind the radiator.
Right.
So if Miss Margaret is still listening, you may possibly trace it to something as simple as a fuse, or the little shroud that has the motor as part of it will be the problem.
Right. The fan cage and assembly as it's sold, as it's provided. And you know, Jeremy, that was thank you so much. That was the reason that I had asked her to listen to the engine during the cold before that fan comes on, because all of those fans come on when you turn the AC on, but all of them don't come on when you run the engine, except when the engine reaches a critical, 230 degrees, and then all those fans come on, including the AC fan and the engine cooling fan. But you're so right. And where do you live in Texas, by the way?
East Texas, the Longview area.
Oh, Longview. Well, I really appreciate you call. What do you drive now?
I have a 2009 Dodge Ram.
Oh, so you're a Dodge Ram guy.
I started driving Dodge around '98, and I've had good success with them. Been with them ever since. But
you drive gas?
Currently got an 09 Ram half-ton 4x4 Laramie with a Hemi in it.
Oh, how you like the Hemi?
I really like it. Very good engine.
Yeah, they really did make a. I'm glad they came back with a Hemi. That was a magnificent. It was a very astute and a great decision by the Dodge to bring that engine back. And gosh, I used to race a 426 half-inch stroker, 500 cubic inch Hemi, and those are fantastic engines. I really appreciate your call, Jeremy, and feel free to just chime in any time that you hear something. And folks, if you're like Jeremy and you hear a caller and you've had a similar event, call and share your event with us. Jeremy, thank you so much for calling.
Thank you, sir.
Let's go to take another call from Walter in Texas. 888 Car Clinic, 888-227-2546. Plenty of time for you to get in. Walter, welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
Hey, Bobby, thanks for taking the call.
Hey, thanks for calling, man. I appreciate you.
My son has a 1938 Alice Chalmers Model B tractor.
I'll be darned.
Fully restored.
Cool.
We're trying to figure out if current fuels which are a lot different than what they were back in 1938,
I'll say,
will work just fine with it.
Well, current fuels are more aggressive than the fuel that tractor was designed to run.
I know it has a 4.8 to 1 compression ratio.
4.8.
Yeah.
Why? And a 4.8 to 1. How does it even run? Wow.
Well, it does.
Wow.
It comes right along.
Well, number one, by all means, make sure that he uses the lowest grade gasoline possible.
Yeah.
Which is 87.
Okay.
And also uses, well, he can use straight gasoline or he can use E10.
So that's what we were wondering about, whether or not the E10 would be okay.
It would be okay. It will. That engine is not calibrated for the lean burn that ethanol addition will provide. But because it's got such a low compression ratio, you'd never know it. That engine's going to run forever and ever and ever because they're tough tractors. Gosh, I'd love to have a picture of that vehicle. And I'd love to have more time to talk with you, but we're at the end of this second hour of Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Walter, call back again later on. Maybe send me a picture of that.
How do I do that, Bobby? I'll send you a picture.
Okay. Bobby, B-O-B-B-Y, at carclinicnetwork.com. Now, that's my personal email, so don't give it out. Bobby at carclinicnetwork.com. That is my personal email.
Bobby at carclinicnetwork.com.
Yes, sir.
I'll send
All
you
right.
a picture.
Okay, my friend. Thank you very much. Okay, folks, that's all the time we have. I'm Bobby Likis. Like us, you'll love us. Have a great day. Take care of your car. I'll see you next week, 10 till noon Eastern Time.
This is Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Bobby Likis Car Clinic is a copyrighted presentation of Car Clinic Productions Incorporated and may not be reproduced or rebroadcast without the express written approval of Car Clinic Productions Incorporated.
When your battery goes dead, everything can come to a stop. Don't take a chance on getting stranded. Stop by O'Reilly Auto Parts and get your battery tested free of charge. If your battery does need to be replaced, O'Reilly Auto Parts can help you find the exact Superstart battery that fits your car or truck at a guaranteed low price. O'Reilly Auto Parts. Better parts, better prices every day.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Looking for a new career path? Interested in serving your local community? Become a teacher. American Board for the Certification of Teacher Excellence can help you earn a teaching certificate in a year or less. American Board's online program allows you to set your own schedule for a price that fits your budget. Visit www.americanboard.org. That's americanboard.org for more information on how you can become a teacher.
You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
Ricey Outfitters, I'm Tina. How can I help you?
I'd like to place an order.
Great. Which item?
The cotton roll neck sweater, large.
Okay. Periwinkle, Loden, or caramel?
The caramel, please.
The what?
I'd like it in caramel.
Oh, the caramel?
Yeah, that's what I said, Tina.
Actually, you said caramel when it's pronounced caramel.
Can't we just call it yellow?
No.
Everyone knows the best part of a Milky Way. They just don't know how to say it. After all, it's our caramel.
It's caramel.
Ugh, that makes a Milky Way great.
You start my morning, you stir in my soul, you warm my heart, make me feel whole. Your aroma calls me, starts my morning, happy morning. Your name is Folgers Mountain Grow, now you're here. Your aroma helps me wake and the day is mine to take. The best part of waking up is Folgers